Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be talking about our next storm system that will bring in an ice storm, another winter storm, and also some more flooding issues. The storm system will bring issues from parts of the Southern Plains, eventually getting into parts of the Ohio Valley, and also getting into parts of the Northeast as well. There's also the possibility for maybe another system later in the week, well, early next week, possibly into Sunday into early Monday as well. Before we get started on this video, if you guys like weather related content, you can subscribe to my channel. We do this stuff here all the time on this channel. Plus, we'll have another update on this topic here tomorrow as well. So definitely stay tuned for another update as well. And there's also going to be more updates to come, especially for our next potential system Sunday into Monday as well. So we're going to start with the current alert. And you can see here, it is pretty active. So let's kind of get this through here. It is going to be pretty pretty cold across the plains here. Anywhere you see these blue and kind of these darker blue shades out here, kind of in the circle here, these colors in here, these are wind chill advisories and warnings. So it's going to get brutally cold out there where wind chill values are going to be deep in the negatives as well. So if you live in those areas, definitely bundle up over the next couple of days because it is going to get very cold in these areas in here. You also do notice in the southwest here, we got a lot of winter weather alerts going on out there as well, which is a good thing. They could definitely use a little bit of winter weather to help with some of those drought issues out there as well. We also got flood watches currently in effect for parts anywhere from northern Mississippi to over Alabama. And that goes all the way up into parts of New York as well, and even into parts of Vermont and New Hampshire as well. And then we got winter weather alerts of parts of the upper Midwest, even a few blizzard warnings up there as well, and even an ice storm warning for parts of North Central Michigan. That's for our current system, which will be getting out of here by later tonight as well. So we should start to see these alerts here go away. But some of those could be within some of these wind chill advisories and warnings as well. It's going to get very cold up there as well. And then you also notice you got these winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings for anywhere from parts of central Texas into parts of Illinois and far southwestern Kentucky. We do expect this to get expanded into the Ohio Valley, parts of the Ohio Valley later tonight and sometime tomorrow. Won't be much longer before parts of the Northeast could get in on some of those alerts as well. So, yeah, there's a lot going on out there. And oh boy, so this is the HER model, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. Now, for last night, it did good with the severe weather for parts of Texas and Oklahoma last night. But earlier today, boy, this model here performed pretty poorly across these areas right here. When we originally thought that the heaviest of the rain was going to be more focused on parts of southwestern Kentucky into central Kentucky, well, you probably take that maybe about 40 miles south or 50 miles south. Yeah, the model did pretty poorly on this. One of the things to note is that the models were too slow with this as well, so that kind of gave it more time to be a little bit slower and have a more normal track as well. With a faster system, it's going to take a more severed track as well. This is very important to know. And by the way, this is not the only model that happened to. Pretty much every single model out there, uh, it happened like this as well. They were too far north or too amped with the system as well. So that's what happened. Is that the system was a little bit too amped. Most thought it was going to be further north, but in reality, it wasn't. It was going to be further south. And then again, that is going to be very important to know for the next upcoming systems. Because if something like that does continue with the next systems, it can really change the forecast as well. But let's check out the HER model first with our next system here to kind of give you guys an idea what we'll be dealing with. That flash flood risk will likely be continuing across parts of northern Mississippi into Tennessee throughout the rest of today, and that goes into the overnight hours. We can certainly see some high rainfall accumulations out there as well, and that goes into parts of northern Alabama as well. And then when we get into the morning hours tomorrow, we do get a break out here, but you do notice across parts of Texas and Oklahoma, here comes our next system here, which in those pink colors, that's a mix of freezing rain and sleet. This could certainly turn out to be an ice storm as well. There's going to be plenty of freezing rain with this. And for some places, freeze rain could last for a long period of time. So for like northern Arkansas, for example, freeze rain could start as early as the early afternoon hours tomorrow. And watch how long this lasts. Not even throughout the entire run yet. Pretty much almost a entire day here. You're still getting freezing rain in northern Arkansas. So that's the area of main concern here when it comes to freezing rain. But like I said earlier, the model was too amped with the system here, which kind of tells me something about this next system here. So let's check out the Harris Canadian. Now, we are back 24 hours ago. So this is the 18Z run from yesterday. This is right around about now, so 21Z. So this is about right now, or maybe an hour ago or so. This is what it thinks here. It's got two areas of heavy rain. You got one up here. This is where we originally thought that we're going to see the worst of the flooding, which was up here. And there's also a little area down here a little bit further south as well. Well, let's check out the current radar. Yeah, way, way different. All your heavy rain is much further south here. Like, I had the core of the heavy rain near Owensboro. Yeah, I missed it like 60 miles. I mean, that's pretty bad performance if you ask me. And the herd model was a very similar way as well with some of those runs overnight. Now, it did begin to have a significant separate trend after the 0Z runs, but even with that, though, that's still not good performance here. I would rather have models have good performance with like a half a day or 24 hours before the event even starts. So I would rather have that than have it only a few hours in advance. That'd be pretty bad for that to happen. But unfortunately, it did happen. So really, overall, every single model did terrible on this. The main reason why, they were too amped with the system and it took it farther north. And the models were too slow with this as well. So that's another thing to note as well. Now, that's what saved us from the significant flooding risk, is that it was moving faster than what the models than anticipated. So that's something to note as well. And the models were too slow with this as well. And typically with a more amped system, it can go a little bit slower as well. But with a less amped system, it could be a little bit more progressive as well. And at the same time, a more amped system will take a low further north, but with a less amped system, it'll be further south as well. So the timing of everything really matters with the forecast as well. So you might be asking, um, what are my thoughts on the next system? Well, taking all those into consideration, this is actually, let's go back to, since the Harris Canada did adjust to the new, some of the observations as well. So you can see here, right around this time here, again, right around 21Z, it's got storms like that. And here's the next system coming up. And you do see here, you got a lot of sleet and freeze rain going on out here. Now, the good news is with this run, it's got heavy freeze rain going on out there, which with heavy freeze rain, it does accumulate as well as light to moderate freeze rain. That's something to note as well. We've talked about that multiple times this year. And you notice here that the freeze rain line, at least for the first wave, only gets as far south. If you live in Kentucky, you probably heard the parkways. So probably right around there, out into I-64 corridor as well. And then here comes your low pressure system, which has the low tracking through central Kentucky. And like I said, with the runs with this model, it was too amped with the system here. And what I mean by too amped, it's too strong with the low as well. Okay, so that was the run 24 hours ago. How about the latest run of the Harris Canadian? Look at this. You already know this already. With the first wave, it's much further south here. It's actually much further south and includes most of northwestern Tennessee, actually parts of most of far western Tennessee, and the freezing rain line gets as far south as the Cumberland Parkway down to parts of south central Kentucky as well. So that is a big change right there already. And then when the next wave comes in, your low, you already know is already, is much further south with it as well. Remember, I had it up here. Now it's down here. So that is something to note as well. So that is a big change from its run 24 hours ago. And I expect a very similar result from the other models. It will not surprise me if this summer trend continues because even with, the run 24 hours ago, it was still further north. It was also too fat or too slow with the system as well. If you kind of take that into consideration with this run here, I expect a very similar result. It'd be too slow with the system here, and it'll probably take a more severe track here. It may go as far south as something like this, possibly as well. You imagine that all this freezing rain and stuff will also likely be further south as well. And honestly, I think it's too aggressive with the warmth because typically with a weaker low, it's not pumping in as much milder air. So the cold air is going to win because the cold air is pretty dense back here. You got a 516 line all the way back up into parts of Iowa here. So the cold air is going to be pretty strong with this setup. So kind of taking that into consideration and stuff like that, I think all this here is going to be further south, but at the same time, with a weaker low, it's not pumping in as much moisture into the cold sector as well. So the freezing rain rates could actually be lighter as well. That's not a good thing at all. But also at the same time, it's also going to be a little bit faster as well. So I do think a lot of the stuff here is going to arrive a little bit earlier than what it suggests as well. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to watch and see how the system is going to evolve um, as well. So we'll see if my prediction is correct with this as well. So then again, what I think is going to happen here is with our next system here, because these models here are likely to be too ample with the system and likely going to be too slow. I think it's going to be further south with the low, maybe a little bit further south than this. We have some models that take it up to the Ohio River, which is probably not going to happen in that scenario. So then again, I think it's going to take a more severe track here. Don't think it's going to be as strong. And when you take it into consideration, maybe instead of having it across parts of central and southern Indiana, I think it could be more maybe for these areas down here. Instead here with that, some of the heaviest freezing rain potential as well. And it goes for the same way northeast and also southwest as well. I think a lot of this freezing rain and sleet and snow is going to be further south than what the models are thinking about this as well. Plus, I do believe the system is going to be a little bit faster as well. So that's also another thing. Take a note as well. And with a faster system here, it's not going to have too much time here to pump a lot of this milder air in here as well. It's going to keep things a little bit further south with it as well. So when you take everything into consideration, overall, I think all this stuff here is going to be likely farther south, probably more like in this region right here than way up here. So we'll see if my prediction is correct with that as well. But let's go and talk about accumulations. So let's talk about the ice first because that's likely to be the most concerning threat with this one here out of the rest. And here you go here, and these amounts are going to be likely to be overdone because it likes to, because of that heavy freezing rain that was showing here earlier in the model run. So I highly doubt there's going to be at least an inch of half of ice. That seems pretty unlikely. So I'll probably take that off maybe about at least an inch of ice at least here. I think max in amounts, I think we could see some areas get up to 3/4 of an inch of ice, especially with a weaker system. It's not going to pump in as much moisture, so them bands of sleet, freezing rain will probably won't be as intense. That's probably the only bad thing about this is with the models having to amp with a system. Some of those freezing rain rates might be a little bit too high and than what the models are suggesting as well. So that's another thing to note as well, because if that's the case, some of these amounts could be a little bit closer to accurate. Not like this though. Definitely not. I don't think we're going to see areas get up to an inch of ice. I don't think so. I think max in amounts probably up to 3/4 of an inch of ice as well. I did see some natural resource forecasts in parts of over Arkansas could see up to 3/4 of an inch of ice as well. And I do agree with that as well. Plus, I do believe it's going to take a more severe track here as well. So, I then again, the Harvest Canadian typically has a better handle with this, but even with the Harvest Canadian typically having a better handle, but the performance of the last system, I think there's a chance it could be further south with this as well. So, definitely something we really need to keep an eye on as well. So if you do live anywhere from parts of southeastern Oklahoma, especially getting into parts of central northern Arkansas, even getting into parts of northwestern Tennessee to southwestern Kentucky, be prepared for any potential power outages and some significant icing as well. So definitely got to keep an eye on that as well. And the system here will have a decent amount of snow with it as well. And there is also going to be some sleet with it. And this is a look into the snowfall accumulations. You can see they're not very impressive here. This is more of winter weather advisory territory here. And I think it's from anywhere from parts of Missouri and the parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. I think it's going to be a general 1 to 3 inches. And there can certainly be some isolated higher amounts as well. And there might be a chance that some areas may get to see 4 to 5 inches of snow in there as well. If you do get into some of those heavier bands as well, I think you do have a good opportunity to see higher end amounts as well. I think the max end amounts will probably like the highest Canada is showing. Maybe the highest end amounts could be 4 to 5 inches, I believe. So moving on to the northeast here, using the same model here, and like I said here earlier on, I think the models could be too amped with the system as well. So I think it's going to be too far north. Also, with a weaker system, these rates here could be overdone as well, which just shows a lot of moderate heavy snow. I think it's going to be a little bit lighter, and I don't think it's going to be off that much though. I don't think it'll be off that much. But anyway, look, all this purple here indicates sleet. Somebody's going to get a lot of sleet out of this as well. It's also got a lot of freeze rain issues going on for parts of central Pennsylvania to parts of northern New Jersey as well. And then again, I think there's a chance this might be further south as well. Typically with a less amped system, it's further south. So if we check out some of the, check out the ice accumulations first, and then we'll check out the snowfall totals. And you can see here when it comes to ice accumulations, there could be some significant icing out there as well. And you did notice that it did show some mixing of some heavy freeze rain. And so some of these amounts will likely be overdone. I think we'll have to take this off maybe about 1/4 of an inch of ice. And I think there's some places in central Pennsylvania that might get into ice storm territory as well. I think maximum amounts could be 1/2 an inch. Well, not 1/2 an inch, sorry. 1/4 of an inch of ice is what I meant to say. And I think that's going to be the highest in amounts when it comes to ice as well. And then again, I think this is going to be a little bit further south here. So areas of the parts of Maryland might need to pay attention to that as well. And honestly, I think the ice amounts up in the parts of Ohio and northwestern Pennsylvania is likely going to be too far north. I think in reality, I think it's going to be more focused in southern Ohio to southwestern Pennsylvania than up here as well. As the models, like it's been over the last couple systems, they've always been too amped with the system, which is taking things too far north as well. The last thing would be the snowfall, and same thing. Going to be too far north, the amounts are going to be overdone, which you can see here. It's got some pretty good snowfall amounts. It's got some areas up to 16 inches of snow. Then again, I think that's going to be overdone. I think the maximum amounts with this setup here, I think it's going to be maybe 10 inches. I think those higher elevations may have the better opportunity to see some higher accumulations, but I think maximum amounts might be 10 inches of snow. I think it's going to be a general swath of 5 to 8 inches. But there will be some areas out there that could get at least 8 inches of snow out there as well. And then again, I think these amounts are going to be too far north. I think in reality, it could be a little bit further south as well. So anybody that lives in like northern Pennsylvania or parts of southern New York or Connecticut, Rhode Island, and southeast Massachusetts, don't worry too much just yet. There's certainly an opportunity. We still got plenty of time with this as well. We're still a day or two away from this event as well. So there's still plenty of time for changes, but it will not surprise me if we start to see a trend of some of these higher amounts trend a little bit further south as well. So that's my thoughts on the system, really beginning from Wednesday through Thursday, throughout most of the day on Friday, and eventually ending on Friday night as well. And there might be another system, and I'm saying maybe. If the models are still too amped with the system and everything like that, there's a chance that not much of anything may not happen with this. With the latest GFS model run, it doesn't show much of anything out there. It does show a decent amount of snow for parts of the Appalachian Mountains in Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, and even for parts of West Virginia. But honestly, I got pretty low confidence with this system as well. If you check out other models, like the Canadian model, for example, it's got nothing. I mean, it does have a pretty good shot of cold air. Got another 98 millibar low with a Arctic frontier. It's going to bring in some snow up there, but you don't really see that system here farther to the south as well. You don't see it down there. You just don't see it. And here's the European model. It's similar to GFS. It doesn't show much of anything happening. And then again, like I said here, if the models are too amped with the system and too slow, there's a good chance that not much of anything will happen with this. Now, there is still that low chance that phasing could occur. If we look at 500 millibars, you see our next couple systems, and here comes our low right here. So here are our two pieces of energy we're watching here. You got one to the north here, and then you got this one here far to the south. If this northern piece of energy trends a little bit slower, we could see a little bit better snow break out on the northern end of the system here as well. So there's still a possibility we could see some snow out of this, but really confidence with this is pretty low at this point here. It's too early to say how much snow we could see out of this event, but it will definitely be something to watch here over the next couple of days. And the timing of this, we will keep an eye on it. Could begin as early as Sunday, and it could go as late as Monday as well. But anyways, guys, that's all we got today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit the like button. If you do like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications and never miss an upload. If you've got some questions about this, put in the comment section down below. Alright, guys, questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.